These are my two sons here, Scott and Mark. You saw them both on the video here before. These two guys, when they were kids, they hunted with me a lot. I think Mark made his first night champion dog when he was about 10 or 11 or 12 years old, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah.
That was
about that age.
That was CD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably shortly after you won the World Hunt in '79. So, I would have been 10 years old when you won the World Hunt. But by the time I was 10 years old, I can remember years worth of hunting. Even by that stage, I have no idea really when I started hunting. I'm sure it was probably soon after I was able to walk. But we hunted a lot. Hunted a lot with Dad. And some of the things that I remember most are we were obviously there to hunt, but Dad also used that as a time to just talk about life and lessons and things that might relate somewhat to hunting or competition hunting, fairness and how to treat people and respect and a lot of things that maybe dads do talk to their sons about or maybe don't talk to their sons about. A lot of that was done in the woods. So that's one of the things that I remember most. And obviously the most memorable time I can think about would obviously be the 1979 World Championship. And Mom took us kids to the final night, Saturday night. Dad was in the Final Four. And one of the things that Dad said, I don't know if he even remembers it or not, but I never forgot it, is right before they called the cast to go, and it was time for him to go hunt. And obviously we were excited and couldn't wait to see what the outcome would be. But I remember, again, as a 10-year-old, I told Dad, good luck, and come back with a win, and I hope you win. And right before Dad left the building, he looked at me and he said, son, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. I never forgot that. But, it means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to you, Dad, but it means a lot to me to see you get this award. And I know it's not a sense for you of pride or, being overly excited about being recognized, but you're just not that type of person. But I'm glad to see it. It means, it may mean more to me even than it does to you, because I know that the hard work, the effort that you put into it. I can't think of anybody in the world that would be more deserving of a Lifetime Achievement Award than you. It's a lot of things that I saw you work on and put together, from the time you spend on your breeding program. Always thinking about what dog do I want to cross with what dog, and then looking the next step down the road, with that cross and how that might mix up with this, and what you wanted to put into a litter, and how you might breed around that. It was a lot that really went into it, and you put a ton of effort into your breeding program. I remember being a spectator on a lot of casts. Again, I was very young through the vast majority of your very successful period of many years there. But I remember being a spectator and the effort that you put into competition coon hunting as a handler was something you were always thinking about. And Dad knew the scorecard in terms of what he needed, maybe on the next tree, or maybe where he wanted to position the dog, on the next tree, based on one outcome versus another. Knowing other handlers, and you had a real sense for at times maybe knowing their dog halfway through the hunt, maybe than the other handler did, and knowing what that dog was doing. And I remember talking to you and asking you questions about about things, and you would explain, well, I could tell this dog was doing this, and maybe things that you were able to put in your corner in terms of an advantage by the knowledge that you had about hunting in general and dogs in general. I mean, you knew dogs inside and out. You were a top-notch handler that was out there to win, but also to have fun, and you always had respect for everybody else in the cast. You were super competitive. You went there prepared having your dog prepared, having yourself prepared, being prepared by putting the best dog in the hunt that had been bred right and trained right and raised from a pup and all the things that you had put into putting yourself in a position to win. And that really culminated from having the right dog, having to be prepared, being a top-notch handler, and most of all being competitive and being a gentleman about it. So, can't think of anybody that left a mark. I remember going to hunts, and it was kind of like Dad was, a bit of a celebrity at times when people wanted to stop by or wanted to talk, and maybe even was asking me questions as a kid, because they were interested in some of the things that Dad was doing. And he left his mark on coon hunting world and on the English breed. It's apparent by the number of wins that you had, dogs in the Hall of Fame, the breeding program and how that played out. But I remember you spending a lot of time with people on the phone, obviously, always on the phone, and not just talking about his dogs, but answering questions maybe that someone else had in terms of how they were training, or maybe what they ought to breed their female to, which stud dog would mix best there, hunt-related questions about how a situation went down in a cast, and maybe what did or didn't happen, or could have happened, or should have happened. So helping other people become more successful is another reason why a lifetime achievement award is what it is. It's a lifetime of achievement, and that doesn't anybody can go out there with a good dog on the right night and beat any other dog and maybe win the hunt. But can you repeat it? Can you do it time after time? Being somebody who was always in the game, somebody that maybe the other people out on the cast, the other three guys, were out there to beat year after year, dog after dog. The program was strong because of the effort and the time that I know you put into it.
Thank you, Mark. Coach, you got anything you'd like to add?
Well, Herc covered pretty much all of it there.
That's a pretty hard act to follow.
Yeah, that'd
there.
be kind of tough on me there. I'll make mine real simple. I've been on here enough and talked about it enough, but I would not trade what happened in the coon house for anything else in the world. I mean, it was an experience, as Mark said. You almost, and to this day, anywhere in the world I go, when they know what my name is, you're Ed Bates' son, and I'll always be Ed Bates' son. And at times I would think I need to overcome that, but now that I've got older, I wouldn't. It's the best thing ever happened to me in the world. I mean, I remember I eat, sleep, drank it. They used to send out the old photographs, and all the World Hunts information would come in a packet, and I'd study it, and I'd see exactly what he'd done. I would know what everybody else done, because, I mean, there was nothing in the world that I cared more about. I did. I loved it, and still this day love it, and I will be back into it. I took a little break here. I had to raise a family because my father told me that was the thing to do. I was fortunate enough to win a world hunt, which was always my goal. I'll be honest with you, he's my idol. If you didn't like him, you probably wouldn't like me. I do the same things. I watched every movie made, and I am him, whether he knows it or not, and I'm proud to be that. But Mark covered most of it. I was just in awe. I mean, I remember back from the time, as we talked about earlier, Joe Tackett was here, and we talked about I'd climb on Joe's back. It could not have been 5 years old. And I wish I still had it, but there was an article in the Full Cry where I'd won a night champion cast with a dog called Meeks John. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. So, I mean, it's me, and it's all I know. But I followed it, I watched it, and I mean, I eat every minute of it up, and I loved every minute of it, and still do. Like Mark said, one of the biggest things I remember is going to Norwalk, Ohio, and Mom took us up there, and I think the car overheated 2 or 3 times, and I think it was a 73 Red Nova, if I'm not mistaken. But I went up there, Dad was in the Final Four, and there was no doubt in my mind he was going to win it. I mean, as a kid, I would have been 12, 13 years old. When I walked in the building, when we drove up there, I just knew he was going to win it. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. But I do distinctly remember walking up there where they had the scorecards, and, before the hunt, people's looking at cards, and I heard a guy say, a couple older guys standing there, said, yeah, this Walker dog here, he'll win this hunt. And I turned around and looked at him because he hurt my feelings and he didn't even know it. But my dad was supposed to win that thing. And I turned around and looked at him. I said, no, you better look at this dog down here and this guy here because he's getting ready to win this thing. And I think the guy knew I was serious too. But, you know, like Mark said, the thing about it was, well, I learned a lot of things about it from, I've coached 30 or 40 teams with my kids since then, and I learned some valuable lessons. It's great to be competitive. That's what this world's about. It's also great to treat people fair. And at the end, when it's over, if you get outsmarted, that's half the battle. That's what I enjoy, and I've told the same thing he told me years ago. I've told some well-known promoters of stud dogs out there when they were younger than I, and I said, I'm going to tell you something. It's hard to beat 3 guys that don't like you. It's a whole lot easier to beat 3 guys that's cheered for you. And that's the one thing he could do. He beat them or he got beat. It was all fun. And when he went back, shook hands and ate. And that's just the way it was. But one little bit of information, and I've never really said this out loud to him or hardly anybody else, but I don't know how many dogs out there have ever won world championships that have sired a world champion. Hard Time Spec, he handled him, he bred him, he sired a world champion. In 1979, he won it with Spec. In 1984, a little dog that I got started with, actually, Hard Time Hannah won in 1984. That's quite an accomplishment. The other thing that goes along with that is, I don't know how many guys have had a world champion that sired a world champion, but I don't know how many guys that can say that can also say, I had a son that could win a world hunt too.
Right.
And to me, that's one of the biggest privileges and one of my most proud moments in the world because that was my goal. The sad part is the English dog I won the world hunt with, he had a dog that late 80s, a dog called Hard Time Trampas, almost won the UKC world hunt. He won second. That would have been my other biggest goal. But the next thing in my mind, and I was lucky to do that at an early age in 91, my next goal, and my mom and dad both told me is, you got to raise your family. And I've spent the last 20 years doing the best I could. I still hunt, still have some dogs. Not as serious as I was, but I will be here in a little bit. But my biggest goal that he set me straight on that is this very weekend, the 29th of May, 2011, that very first girl's getting ready to graduate as a valedictorian. And that's one of my second biggest goals. And I've got a tremendous family, a wife that's very tolerant of what we do. But most of all, I want him to know that all came from him. And he's still my idol. I love him to death.
Yeah. Love you, Dad. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. You know, Mark, you said that winning this probably didn't mean a whole lot to me. And I'm going to say this. When I first heard that I was nominated, I said, why, they don't even know who I am. I've been gone from this game for 15 years, you know. I don't stand a chance. And then I got the phone call and said, hey, you've won. And the only thing I've got to say is, gentlemen, you sure know how to make an old man feel good. And I love all of you guys out there that I competed with and against.